Hello everyone, this is the introduction to the Rule of Thirds photo project. The objective: you'll be able to explain the compositional technique Rule of Thirds and understand the corresponding photo assignment. What is the Rule of Thirds? Divide the picture plane into thirds horizontally and vertically. In other words, draw an imaginary tic-tac-toe grid over the picture plane. Deliberately place the main subject where the lines intersect. This is a focal point. Any of the points where the lines intersect can be used as a focal point. In this case, the photographer, Dorothy Lang, chose to use the upper right intersecting lines. However, she could have chosen any of the other three options. Here is another way to think of the Rule of Thirds. If we remove all of the lines except for the horizon line, you can see the picture plane has a 1/3 to 2/3 relationship. So 1/3 above the horizon line and 2/3 below the horizon line. Many digital cameras and cell phones have a Rule of Thirds feature built into them. You might have this on your device. As you can see in these two photos, the grid is placed on the devices to help people use the Rule of Thirds compositional technique. Here's another example that is vertical instead of horizontal. Draw the grid and you will see that the people are close to a focal point. The Rule of Thirds is not an exact science, so close is okay. Now let's continue with the 1/3 2/3 relationship. So if you remove all of the lines except for the vertical line, you can see the 1/3 is the barn, interior, and 2/3 is the exterior. Here is yet another variation on the Rule of Thirds seen in this photo. The wall occupies approximately 1/3 of the space, the chairs another third, and the tile floor is another third. And to top things off, if you imagine the tic-tac-toe grid on here, the bird is the focal point down there in the lower left corner. Here is the Rule of Thirds used in a square format, and in this case the focal point is the person's face. So the Rule of Thirds can be adapted to all sorts of different formats. A simple way to think of the Rule of Thirds is to avoid the middle. Don't place the subject directly in the center of the composition. Here is a nuance of the Rule of Thirds. This subject is in the middle, but the rest of the composition is 1/3 rocky shore and 2/3 rippling water. So it is still using the Rule of Thirds as a major compositional technique for this photo. One more example. In this example, 2/3 of the wall is red and 1/3 is white, and the boys are mostly off center. Here is your assignment. Take 10 to 20 photos. Look around your environment for interesting subjects. Try to find good lighting. Turn them into Google Classroom. Evaluate your photos carefully. Choose the one with the strongest composition that clearly meets the project criteria. Edit your best photo. Check the levels, exposure, and saturation and adjust if needed. Consider making creative edits such as black and white, toning, etc. And finally, turn in your best photo to Google Classroom. That's it, everyone. Have fun!